What's up, heathens? How ya doing? As you can tell, we're back at college. I figured since tonight we have a street preacher type guy that's at a college campus, I figured I'd take you guys back to my old college, which actually, this doesn't look anything like I remember, but you know, it's what it looks like now, and I guess that's good. But anyways, everybody hit that ding bell for me because I'm a dumbass.
Ding ding!
Ding ding! Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. You're
a fucking
idiot. I can't even say it for real. You're awesome. I love you. But this guy we're gonna watch tonight is a fucking idiot.
See, what I'm trying to get at is it's a little suspicious that all of these things happened all by themselves without anything to guide them or to think them through. Okay, so for instance, let's say you had your teeth. You had your throat, you've evolved all of that, you've got peristalsis working its way down, but you haven't evolved your stomach yet. What would happen to your teeth and to your throat?
He is a fucking idiot.
Ding.
All right. So now we've got this guy right here. He's a street preacher. Like I said, he's at a college campus and he is going to be, I guess, interacting with a student there. I mean, he's got a backpack and everything, so I think he's a student. But basically, I don't know how this started. I have my thoughts that I'll point out later. I just get a feeling that this is like practice for this guy, but he's presenting it as, oh, I'm street preaching to somebody that doesn't believe like I do, or somebody that doesn't know about Jesus or God. I'm street preaching and I'm gonna prove to him that God exists.
I'm really simple.
That is the truest thing that he is gonna say the entire video. After this point, he's full of shit.
So as an engineer, a numbers guy, tell me, why do math equations always come up with a consistent answer?
So first of all, math, science in general, all of that is based on the concept of uniformitarianism. And what that is the concept of like the laws of nature being invariable. There's been a lot of discussion over what exactly is uniformitarianism, but just to give you a brief kind of background on it, it first came up in opposition to the biblical account of how the earth formed. Before that point, what you had was this whole biblical account sort of explaining everything, but it started with the work of geologist James Hutton and his many books, including The Theory of the Earth. Hutton's, I'm reading right from the Wikipedia page, just in case you're wondering. It's linked in the description. Hutton's work was later refined by scientist John Playfair and popularized by geologist Charles Lyell, Principles of Geology. So that was in 1830. So this whole concept has its roots in geology and determining the age of the earth, how the earth formed, and all that other stuff. That's kind of where we got it at. But what this guy is proposing, that, you know, basically uniformitarianism, but he's not using that word. And so he's asking this student, why do mathematical equations and everything like that always work out every single time? And it's because of this concept of uniformitarianism. And in uniformitarianism would explain why 1 + 1 will always equal 2. It's an assumption that we make about our reality because there's been nothing to actually contradict that. So, like, if you can show how something would, like, if you could ever prove that 1 + 1 = 3, then we would have to rethink things. This is a primary assumption of all, like, science and mathematics, physics, and all that kind of stuff. It's the only way that we can actually do science and extrapolate about the unknown from what we do know.
They're always constant in this universe.
That's right, there's constants, but what makes them constant?
Well, it makes them constant because that's what we experience in reality. That's what makes them a constant. If you can prove a constant is not a constant, then it is no longer a constant. See, all of these laws are hindered by our own perception. It's, you know, we've developed these things because that's what we experience in reality. There's nothing supernatural about it.
Laws of physics and math.
Laws of physics, all right.
The laws of physics don't make them constant. They're constant because that's what we actually experience in reality. It's not the laws of physics that make them constant. He's just got his shit a little backwards here, which is a little sad being that he's at college and he's supposed to be an engineering student.
I'm an engineering student. I don't know shit about shit. Except about berries.
But who wrote those laws?
Oh God, who wrote those laws? I know I'm stopping really quick, but it trust me, I mean, I'm wanting to answer these things before the actual student answers them because he's going to be wrong. Who wrote those laws? Nobody wrote those laws. Those are just things we actually experience in reality. So nobody wrote shit, unless you want to talk about the actual like concept when they were first like discovered and pinned down. But just because we pinned them down, that doesn't mean that they all of a sudden existed at that point. They always existed. We just saw them or we identified them.
Man did.
We think that we identified the correct formula. We experimented enough times and we concluded that's the law. Fair enough.
Well, no, I mean, it's not. Like that's a really shitty explanation of how things become laws. You know, there's a rigorous process. Like laws are more solid than scientific theories and stuff because, you know, for the most part, laws cannot be changed, whereas scientific theories are regularly changed. For instance, the law of gravity. Unless somebody finds like another portion of reality where gravity operates differently than the law of gravity is supposed to, then, it's not going to change. Whereas like scientific theories are descriptions of how things are supposed to operate. And those can change with new observations. I guess you could say the same thing about laws, but they're less likely to change.
But that still doesn't tell me why we have consistent outcomes. Here's my premise, that if there is not a bigger constant in the universe, there's no constants in math or in science. Because if we are random nothing, you know, we kind of came together over billions of years and sort of got our act together and became moral, started walking upright, developed eyes, nose, ears, mouth, taste, all of that. We kind of evolved that way.
That is the worst recollection of evolution and the Big Bang. I don't know. It's like he's like mixing up Big Bang with the history of the universe and then tacking on abiogenesis and evolution all in this shitty fucking statement.
I hate when people like confuse and like use interchangeably the Big Bang and evolution. They're like completely, totally separate things that basically have nothing to do with one another.
Right. And they do this primarily because their Bible or their holy books or whatnot mash all of this stuff together. But we know them to be separate like processes and separate things altogether. But they want to mash everything together because that's how they're taught through their Bible.
There wouldn't be any constants.
No, that's not true, because in the Big Bang theory and all of astrophysics that explains like how our universe actually works, it definitely requires constants. Constants like the speed of light. In absent of a medium, the speed of light is a certain value. About 300,000 meters per second is what it is. I mean, that's not exactly it, but for the purposes of this, it's about 300,000 meters per second. Is the speed of light, but like when light goes through a certain medium, it can slow down. That's how we detected that the ether doesn't exist. The fact that light didn't slow down in the Michelson-Morley experiment, light didn't change velocity at all, and so that's how we know that the medium doesn't exist. So we know that the speed of light is constant. Science, physics, mathematics, like all that in general is based on constants. So for you to say that like the Big Bang theory or the scientific idea of how the universe started is not based on constant values or anything like that is just blatantly fucking wrong.
We would never have anything that was certain because it's all random.
It's not all random like you're making it out to be. Things happen because of other things. If consequences didn't happen because other things happen, then I don't know what reality would look like. And so it like cause and effect are just part of reality. It's something that we've visibly noticed. That's why in science fiction you have instances where like cause and effect are kind of intermingled or even broken sometimes, because it's kind of a weird thing to actually explore.
According to evolution. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Do you believe in evolution?
I believe in microevolution.
See, this is where the guy loses me. He's like, I believe in microevolution. Motherfucker, what? Well, there are a lot of people that say that. Nobody with any goddamn sense says that I believe in microevolution. It's just evolution. I get that you could explain the two different, I guess, types in that way, but it's all evolution. I mean, that's basically just eating your cake and having it too.
Microevolution. What's the difference between micro and macro?
Macro is that we are descendants essentially from fish, and we actually grew, the fish grew legs, then we evolved into humans.
Okay.
Microevolution is that depending on where we lived, such as different climates, we adapted, we changed.
That is the worst explanation of evolution I've just about ever heard. First of all, it's not fish grew legs and then developed into humans and then blah, blah, blah. That is not what evolution is. Evolution is a slow process that happens over millions and millions, if not billions of years. Like billions of years, because we're still evolving now. Shit's still evolving. There was that one rhinoceros out in Africa that actually evolved away their horns because poachers would always kill the ones with the biggest horns. And so you know what happened? Artificial fucking selection. More rhinoceri were born with smaller and smaller horns, and now they're just about gone. So I get that you don't understand evolution, and I get that you think that microevolution is different from regular evolution, I guess. But everything that you just described is explained by evolution. It's all evolution, dumbass!
Fucking idiot.
Because hundreds of thousands of years ago, we did not know how to actually process meat. Therefore, our digestive system was different, our teeth were actually different. But as we learned to actually cook our meat and evolve and adapt, our very teeth changed, our digestive system changed because we did not need that powerful bacteria anymore.
I can already tell both of these fucks are creationists. They are dipshits. They're trying to put on this whole persona of this guy right here that's on screen right now is arguing with some guy that believes differently than him, and he's gonna make good points and totally destroy the idiot on the street. The way that he described us evolving right there, it's like we didn't know how to digest like meat or whatever. It's like we didn't know how to do this. It's no, okay, listen, no. First of all, it's not that we didn't know, it's that our bodies couldn't. And it was only through the slow evolution where we started eating meat that was actually cooked that we were able to not only, I guess, shed that bacteria that he's talking about. I could look up like the bacteria and everything that he's saying, but he's just simply wrong on it, because regardless of how our bodies digested stuff before, as soon as we started eating meat, our body chemistry would have changed, like cooked meat, sorry. As soon as we started eating the cooked meat and we got more nutrients into our diet, our digestive system, would have altered with that slowly over time. Eating cooked meat and getting more nutrients, obviously, is what allowed our brains to grow in size and become smarter and self-aware. It didn't have just that one effect, like eating cooked meat didn't just have that one effect. Like it had a lot of other different effects.
And why did we decide to do all of those things?
We didn't decide to do shit, you fucking idiot! We started eating differently, and so our bodies changed in order to make full use of the nutrients that we're getting and everything.
And what was the mechanism that kicked that process and guided that process so we could grow teeth, have a digestive system, develop something called peristalsis, which is what moves the food down to your gut, the acid to deteriorate it, the ability to pull out the vitamins that you need, plus process it through a plumbing system?
Does this guy seriously think that nothing else on this goddamn earth was able to digest food before humans made their first step? Like, that's what it seems like. I mean, that's such a fucking idiotic way to even present anything in as far as evolution goes. Nothing kicked it off. It just gradually happened over time. And there are different ways in which plant life and animal life and different organisms process the different kinds of foods that they eat. Life is based on ingesting energy, processing it, and then fucking excreting the shit. For you to be like, oh, what kicked off the process of putting us all together like a fucking Lego project or something, that's totally disingenuous as to how evolution actually works and how we were actually evolved or how we actually came to be.
When did all of those things take place, and who decided that's the way we should be?
Well, somewhere along the line, the coding in our DNA changed.
The coding in our DNA changed? What? Did they have CRISPR back then and then we just lost it? What the fuck are you learning in that non-college that you're at? How evolution works is through mutation. But the way that he presented it is a little disingenuous, I think. It's not that like the DNA was reprogrammed or whatnot. It's that we started eating meat and then we started using that meat, and so therefore, like, we started using the nutrients in that meat, we started eating better, and therefore the mutations that would allow us to utilize those things were able to survive. Like, that's the way you answer that question, not with, our genes got reprogrammed by that prehistoric CRISPR machine they had. You just pop a sumbitch in there, put it on 10 minutes, and boom, he got a better digestive tract, motherfucker.
Code in our DNA changed. All right. Codes in DNA can be manipulated these days and changed. And different people have DNA, but no new
Different people have DNA, honey. Did you know this?
I've watched Maury before, so I did.
information gets added to DNA. You can detract information, but you can't add information to DNA.
Okay, first of all, DNA is a chemical. You don't add information to it. Like, that's not how it works.
You just plug it into a computer. And you can get new information. Like, so you stick the USB up your ass, and you upload the new information to your DNA. Shitty ass science.
See, thank you, honey.
That's how that works. You're welcome.
But so that's not how DNA works. DNA is a chemical. There are mutations that happen to our genes. CRISPR is a fairly new kind of method, and we have been able to, edit genes and whatnot through that. That's still a developing technology, though. How it's done naturally is these mutations happen because of copying errors in our genes, and that's how they get passed on. I mean, when your sperm or your ovaries, or when they split or they copying errors happen. And so that's why it's a generational thing. I mean, this guy acts like you can turn into the fucking Hulk if you point the right kind of CRISPR laser at your dick.
See, what I'm trying to get at is it's a little suspicious that all of these things happened all by themselves without anything to guide them or to think them through. Okay, so for instance, let's say you had your teeth, you had your throat, you've evolved all of that, you've got peristalsis working its way down, but you haven't evolved your stomach yet. What would happen to your teeth and to your throat?
The correct answer for this one is you wouldn't have a fucking stomach to begin with if you're fucking, I don't even know what the fuck, like, he's talking about a fully formed human. Now, just to preface here, there are people out there that don't actually have stomachs, and that what they do is they basically wrap their esophagus, and you can take out the stomach, and it gets connected directly to their large intestine is the first one.
But wouldn't that only be a thing if there was some kind of medical problem?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a medical problem. But he's talking about it like, oh, well, if you're a human and you haven't evolved your goddamn stomach yet, what's the point of teeth?
That is not how anything fucking works.
He thinks that you literally evolve different organs at different rates. At least that's what he's sounding like. Apparently, the first human didn't have a fucking stomach. He probably didn't have eyelids either.
I do not know.
They'd go away because you don't need them for anything. You had to happen all at the same time.
Wait, if you didn't have a stomach, your teeth would go away? Like, how does that fucking make sense? Does that make any kind of sense? If you didn't have a stomach, your teeth would just fucking fall out of your goddamn head. Your tongue would fall out too, because why do you need a tongue I guess you need to talk, don't you? But I mean, if you got an esophagus that goes to fucking nowhere, what's the point in having a tongue being able to speak, because you're not going to be fucking living?
Called irreducible complexity. You're so complex that if we reduced a component of it, none of the other components would exist because they need each other to function.
There are organisms that don't require a stomach like what we have. There are organisms out there that operate completely differently than humans. Fucking spiders don't have skeletons. Seriously, I mean, this guy acts like, of course, he's a creationist, so he thinks that we were just dropped here on the earth. No, wait, hold on. Even better, this guy thinks that God formed us out of the shit-covered dirt, and then he sneezed on that dirt and brought life into us. Then guess how women were made? Well, he just reached right into the side of that guy and pulled out a fucking rib, shined it up really good, and created a woman. That is more probable than evolution to this guy.